So I saw this comment that actually made me laugh a bit. And I'm sure there are people who actually made this sort of debunking videos before, and uh, I'll just do it because I kind of found it funny. So in this clip, for those who don't know, we have a Karma against Jinx, who actually tried to use Galeforce too on top of that. And that Karma, if you see, he has the Magic Felix build. I'll try and zoom in with Moonstone and Frozen Heart and CDR Boots. So this build is very similar to what I did as I climbed with Karma last season, and I'm still using it a bit. The only difference is I'm using Locket over Moonstone, and I'm usually going Tabai or Mercs. But in this particular situation, if you're a solo laner, you'll have more levels usually than the opponent, and you might end up surviving the initial burst. So because of that, because you survived the initial burst, you end up actually getting value from Moonstone. So Moonstone gets to be more valuable than Locket. So, and also gives you AP, which allows you to clear waves. So it has other purposes. It's a different dynamic on mid than support. As for CDR boots, let's just ignore that for now, because what we're going to focus here is on this Jinx build, which is horrendous. So first of all, she has Galeforce, which is the worst item, and then she has Runan. When should you ever build Runan on AD carries? Well, I'll tell you when the game is actually over anyway. You should be building Runan when super minions are in your base and you have no other way to clear them. And even then, it's still not going to help you win the game, but it still has an actual value. Using Runan to kill minions when you can already kill them minions is just as stupid as going CDR boots on Hecarim to spam Q faster when you can kill the minions in jungle anyway with some extra AD, and then you run out of mana. But at least this build doesn't require mana. Nonetheless, let's just not talk about this. We're going to talk specifically only regarding Galeforce. So, uh, why is Galeforce such a terrible item? I am in a game with a mid game Jinx build similar to his. Let's just talk about this item. So people build it for survivability. That's the reason. They think they can actually survive the burst, but they don't. First of all, Gale Force doesn't allow you to use it as a flash. It doesn't allow you to jump through towers. It doesn't allow you to jump through walls. So it's just a dash. But not only it's a dash, but I want you to pay attention. It's almost as just moving a bit faster. It's not a real dash. Its animation is slow, and not only that, it has a 90 seconds timer, and it's almost like moving with 2 or 3 move speed items, right? This dash doesn't help you survive champions that can already get on you. Think about it. If Hecarim gets to you in the backline with a billion MS, with an ultimate, and with a charge E, this dash is too slow in order to protect you. It's too slow, it's too short. It's not a real dash. It's just something that helps you in your mind, in theory, to survive, and maybe, but it really doesn't. What it actually does is sometimes allows you to juke a skill shot. That's all there is to it. But even so, it's not really that good. So when is this item actually good? Well, when this item is actually good is when you can get value from move speed and when you already have AD. Unless you have already this item, this item, um, this item, And let's just say the AD carry is human and builds these proper items, but they won't. Unless you build these items, you will not have real movement speed from your passive, and even so it's still too small. Usually you have 360 movements, 370 movement speed, I think, with boots and Galeforce, and it's really not relevant. But when you get to this point, you actually become quite a bit fast. You can your movement speed actually matters a lot more, since champions that engage on you, they don't really get more engage, more movement speed, more mobility, right? Think about it. A Malphite just has his ult, right? Just that. A Fiddlesticks mostly has Proto Belt. He has just that. A Hecarim will still only ult and E. That's only that. So in the later parts of the game, Galeforce becomes relevant. But think about it. How often do you get in solo queue to this point of the game? And when that happens, you're going to be in late game anyway, and you might end up getting poked. You might end up getting killed. You might end up getting going to die anyway. So you need even then damage, because fights will last even shorter than they usually do. So not even in the points where you can actually get value from Galeforce will it matter. So what should you do in this point? What should you do to deal damage? What should you do to survive? Because as we see, this dash is just copium. It's like a vein tumble. It just doesn't exist. So how should you itemize? Well, considering the reality that Galeforce doesn't exist as an item, if Galeforce didn't exist as an item, right? If Riot removed it tomorrow, what would you build? Well, and the answer is quite simple. You have only two real options. You have Shieldbow or Kraken Slayer. So how should you buy Kraken Slayer? Let's just sell these noob items, really weak items, just melts every single tank in the game. I made some calculations earlier with in my notepad, and I noticed these values. So obviously from 20 hits, Kraken Slayer will for sure have the highest damage value. As you can see it, 20 hits, 4,153. With Galeforce, you will have almost 3,700, and with Shieldbow, you will have what's it called, the lowest damage out of all, but you will have a Shieldbow active, or whatever it's called, when you get to the point where Shieldbow activates. And trust me, if you're in the point as an AD carry to get in a position where you would need Galeforce to survive, you will going to need Shieldbow, and Shieldbow will activate to potentially save you. So with damage, it gets to similar numbers to Galeforce, because I haven't took into account crits. This could also happen, but you also have a shield. So that shield might end up being a bit more valuable than Galeforce, but also it might give you the HP itself. The HP itself to deny a potential burst. So even with a tanky item, you still do more damage by tanking than a potential burst that's not real. But what should you do as an AD carry? You should build almost always on champions like Jinx or Aphelios. Since I saw the guy is a cute Aphelios main, you should build this disgusting broken item, Kraken Slayer. Trust me, this item does not allow tankiness in League of Legends. Tankiness is only a myth. The only reason tanks get sometimes to tank, it's because AD carries don't build Kraken Slayer, don't build Lord Dominic's Regards, don't build Phantom Dancer, and don't build Infinity Edge. By the way, I noticed a lot of Jinxes build this item. You guys know this item is actually viable only as a last item, maybe when you're already in late game and you can actually poke safely a short target. If you're going to buy this worthless item in terms of stats in comparison to Phantom Dancer, which many people just look at the stats above and ignore the Spectral Waltz passive, you are not going to resist early game. It's going to happen as it's going to be just like a bait, just as a bait, as Galeforce was. You're going to get one hit, you're going to get your Galeforce, it will do nothing, you'll have low stats in comparison, and again, guess what? Xin Zhao, Malphite, Hecarim, Olaf, whoever else gets to you will damage you. So, knowing that, what should you do as an itemization on AD carry? Since this guy, I'm still quite laughing of that. He's against the karma, right? He should understand. First of all, he cannot kill this karma. He will lose in terms of stats. Even if he had Shilbo with Phantom Dancer, he should still try and outrange her. This is a matchup she cannot win. However, what she could do is actually damage her. This is the biggest misconception. People think tanks or champions like Karma or sustained or burst damage champions have infinite tankiness, and they don't. In order for them to take trades with higher sources of damage like a Jinx, they need to have the HP to actually go for you, and because of that, you need as a result to have enough damage to exist. So if an AD carry or if a tank gets poked, it doesn't exist. If again a Kha'Zix gets poked, if he jumps on you, it dies, but it will not die if you have a Galeforce and you give him a chance to exist. So how should you itemize again? Well, besides Galeforce, oh, Genshin is here. Besides Galeforce, the biggest misconception on AD carries is that, and I'm telling you, this is the biggest mistake. I've seen it. I've been playing this game for 12 years. I've tried and convinced some kids in my previous generations that this is a mistake, and some understood, some don't. The biggest mistake you can make on AD carries is buy these dogshit boots items. Think about it. Every single fucking champion and their mother needs to build tankiness, needs to get Tabai or Mercs, needs to maybe get swiftness and survive. How the fuck you think as a squishy target champion will survive if they get to you with heavy engage? How does attack speed help you if you're stunned? How often do you attack if you're stunned? 0 times. How often do you attack if you get one-shotted? 0 times. Berserkers are boots that only give you attack speed if you can attack. And if you're not really ahead in itemization, you are going to die. These boots are bait. So again, if you are playing against a Zed, as an AD carry, as a Nocturne, a lot of AD carries think Nocturne is broken. Trust me, if you buy these items, sometimes I face an AD carry that has actual functioning brain cells. They buy these items, and it might not look like much, but I, as a jungler, since I'm a jungle main, if I commit more than my initial burst to you, and you survive, guess what? You have range, you have movement speed, you have flash, you reposition, you have your support. I have to dive the backline. If you survive the burst, then it's over for me. I just die. But as I said, you are not going to survive the burst with Galeforce. I proved to you it's not a real dash. And the MS itself is laughable in early game. Again, it's only relevant in late. So what you should do is take into account the threats that you are going to face. Again, you are playing against a Kha'Zix, you are playing against an Olaf, you are playing against whatever, a Kiana even. you should go Tabai almost every single time. When should you go Mercs? Well, Mercs, you might say Mercs will not help me survive enough against a fiddlesticks. Well, no fucking shit, guy. Nothing will help you survive then. What it will do is give you a chance to flash out. That's all you need. If you are going to damage that fiddlesticks, you are going to damage him by flashing out. If you are going to go full glass cannon, you are not going to damage him because he will engage on you. And if you are going to damage him, you will damage him with mercs anyway. So these are the two options that you need: Tabai or mercs. And again, if you want more damage, you go this. If you cannot have any options in your solo queue game to rely on your support, you go this. These two items allow you to tank a bit of damage and force the bruisers to commit. People don't understand how important it is for an AD carry to bait out cooldowns from engaged champions. Imagine a Leona uses her ult, her entire kit, and then you don't die, you are not affected by her entire kit. That's a 4v5. There's no difference between that and the Leona being dead. It's really important for you to survive. So you might say then, well, okay, what if I go Kraken Slayer and God damn it, I didn't. Okay, I already have it now. What if I go Kraken Slayer and I get bursted anyway? My issue is my burst. How do I survive the burst? Well, again, Tabai Mercs, but that's not enough. And because this fucking video game is a shit team game, you need your support as well. So your support will make the same fucking mistake as you do. He will think, where the fuck are they? He will think you can outrun the engage. This is again a big misconception. Now, if you have Shurelia, look at it. Does it look similar? Does it look similar? Maybe sometimes it's a bit faster, but look at how worthless this fucking item is. Fucking worthless. This is how Hekarims actually manage to get value from their fucking worthless Manamune build. This item does not exist on supports. So, unfortunately, even if you build like a human as an AD carry, your support has to have functioning brain cells as well. Your support also needs to survive the burst. There's no point in getting lucidity boots if you just die in one rotation. You cannot get value from CDR if you're dead. Similar how you cannot get value from attack speed if you die. So your support needs to adjust again according to who's going on you or on him and build this magical wonderful item. This item along with your Tabai will allow you to survive the burst and reposition. This is how you deal damage as an AD carry in early mid game. And when you get to that point into the game where you already have Kraken Slayer, I mean, I hope there's no real... I really hope there's no point in talking about why Collector is bad. There's almost never a situation where you should build Collector. Almost never. And I say almost never because there are very specific cases where you play against very squishy champions. You are playing Collector, and in that on Misfortune, and you just QE ult, and that's it. But you're a crit AD carry. You're a crit AD carry, and Collector is just terrible. So even let's just ignore that. Let's get back on track. So as an AD carry, your main issues are in early and mid game. And in early and mid game, where most of the games end up anyway, you need to survive. These are your items. These 3 items will help you survive even though it might not look like it. If Galeforce wouldn't exist in the game, think about it again. If Galeforce wouldn't exist in the game, you would be buying these items anyway. So, what you need to understand is to get in a mindset where Galeforce doesn't exist. And if you look at every fucking clip, I actually uploaded a clip myself with Galeforce being ridiculously useless. Ah man, let's see if I can find it. This clip will actually help you see how full value Galeforce is in action. Almost full, because she actually made one mistake. This is a real situation. You might say she might not be there. You might say she could have should have had a support, but this is a real situation. And again, I get fucked in on a class level. There's no question. I got outplayed like a fucking dog, and it didn't matter because she has no stats. She doesn't move HP bars. She doesn't clear minions. She doesn't do anything. Again, max value. She missed. She duked a skill shot, and now what? She just dies. She has not. She doesn't have berserkers. She doesn't have the stats to damage me. It's just pointless. It's just pointless. So again, as an AD carry, in order to survive, build efficient items with damage, build Tabai or Mercs, and ask your deluded support to build Locket in almost all situations, or Moonstone if you are to survive the initial burst. That's it. That's the secret of building as a human on AD carry. You need yourself and your support to exist. Bye. Good luck.